Check it out. It's so pretty. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness, it looks so good. I just don't know what to say. It's so beautiful. It's so, I love it. I already love it so much. Yes! Hello, my name is Andrew. It's fantastic to see you. I hope you're having a great day. My goodness, I'm so excited for this video today. This is like the most excited I've been for a video in a long time. Okay. In case you can't tell, I'm really excited. So, I just got a new guitar. It's this. This is a Fender Newporter player, and it's just this is the coolest thing ever. And so I want to tell you about this guitar, and before we get into all the specs and everything you need to know about this guitar, humor me for a few minutes. I really want to tell you a story. I want to tell you some personal history and some history of the instrument itself, just because I find it really fun and really awesome. And feel free to skip past all my ramblings if you want to. I promise you will not hurt my feelings at all. But I really just, this is so exciting. Okay, let's get into it. So, if you don't know me very well yet, if you're new to the channel, welcome, first of all. But I guess you could say I'm sort of a semi-professional violinist, violist, and French hornist. I've been studying those instruments, many years of formal classical training and lessons and everything, and I'm actively pursuing a professional career being a classical player of those three instruments: violin, viola, French horn. Meanwhile, the guitar is an instrument that I play amateurly. It's been a part of my life for a very long time, but I've never really taken the guitar seriously, never been very good at it, as you can hear, but it's just kind of been there for me as an escape, a way for me to be still immersed in music, my favorite thing ever, but without the pressure that comes with being a professional classical musician. So I got my first ever guitar when I was 6 years old. It was a little tiny half-sized classical nylon string guitar, and I took to it very quickly. I loved it. Totally fell in love with the guitar. I thought it was so much fun. But it didn't take long before I found myself really, really wanting to play the electric guitar. I just thought that would be the coolest thing ever. And this is the funny thing. So a little window into my weird brain. I'm very drawn to the aesthetic of a musical instrument. That has a huge impact on my emotional state, and it also really heavily influences my desire to pick up the instrument and play it. I'm very drawn to how an instrument looks. And that was really probably the larger thing with regards to the electric guitar. I just loved how it looked. It looked so cool. And I remember seeing in a catalog when I was probably 6 or 7 a picture of a Fender Stratocaster, and I thought to myself, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was just the picture of perfection. It just looked so cool. I just desperately wanted a Stratocaster, and there were a couple things. Actually, hang on a second. Here we go. Here's a Strat. So basically, I mean, pretty much everything about this guitar. I love the aesthetic. I love the vibe. I loved the body shape, how it had these beautiful sort of curves, the rounded edge. The shape is just very pleasing. I loved how the pickguard has this curve that kind of mirrors the upper edge of the body. The pickguard shape is really, really cool looking. I love how those controls are laid out. And I also, probably the biggest aesthetic element of the guitar was the headstock shape. That was what I really fell in love with. Any and all of these basic Fender headstock shapes were just, I thought, the coolest thing I'd ever seen. It didn't matter to me whether it was this large sort of CBS era Strat headstock or the smaller one, or Jazzmaster, Jaguar, Mustang, Coronado, old Fender acoustic, whatever. These 6-in line headstocks, all of them except for the Telecaster. Telecaster is really cool, but it just, the shape is slightly different in how it's proportioned over here, and it just doesn't look as cool to me as all the other ones. Anyway, just this vibe just is the coolest thing I had ever seen. And you know what's even cooler? Maybe you've heard this before, but I have to share this with you. My understanding is that the Fender headstock shape is meant to mimic a violin scroll turned sideways. So you've got this beautiful rounded part up here that is the scroll itself, and then you've got this swooping curve that is the peg box. You see the resemblance? Is that not the coolest thing you've ever seen? It's just amazing. And so not only is this just a beautiful shape, but it's not haphazard. There's thought behind it. And just as a violinist, I gotta say, this is incredible. Like, just this piece of art that is the violin scroll, the way that these lines, it's just one of the most beautiful pieces of art ever. Gives me great joy that I get to play on an instrument that makes beautiful sounds, and it is a beautiful work of art in and of itself, and I get to hold it in my hands every day. It's so cool. And all of that in addition to the fact that the headstock shape of a Fender guitar mimics that shape of the violin scroll, and it just, I don't know, I can't explain why I love it so much. It just is the coolest shape ever. I cannot explain the sheer joy that I feel when I look at this shape. It's just the coolest shape I've ever seen. So anyway, in 2007, I think it must have been, my parents and I were visiting my aunt and uncle and their family, and I was snooping around a guest bedroom closet in their house, and I found a guitar case in the closet. And this is just, I don't know if you feel this way or not, but if I discover a musical instrument case, it doesn't matter what kind of instrument it is, I have this insatiable desire to look inside of the case. I have to see what it is. And so, as a 7-year-old boy at the time, that insatiable curiosity was there, and I had to look inside the case, and I encountered a Fender Concorde, which is an acoustic model made by Fender in the 80s and 90s. It was a made in Korea model. My research has not turned up enough information about that guitar. It's kind of an obscure one, but it's a very plain and simple guitar. It's one of the coolest looking acoustic guitars I've ever seen. It's got this beautiful dreadnought body shape, and it's very plain and simple, no frills, no bling or anything. It's just pure and elegant, and it has a Stratocaster headstock shape. The standard small Stratocaster headstock shape, not this one. And I saw especially the headstock, and I was floored. I ran out into the living room or whatever and was like, look what I found in the closet in the room. And my aunt was like, oh, he found my old Concorde. And so ever since then, I cannot help myself. Every time we go and visit them, I have to go dig through the closet and find the Concorde and get it out and play it, because it's so cool. Not only is it one of the coolest looking guitars I've ever seen, but it's also one of the greatest playing guitars I've ever encountered as well. The setup on it is perfect. The fretwork is amazing. It's in immaculate condition. It has a beautiful, rich, resonant sound. It's so comfortable to play. It sounds so good, and it looks amazing. It's just like perfect guitar. So it's super cool. My aunt's Fender Concorde was one of the first guitars that I encountered in real life that was fuel for the fire of my love of Fender guitars. But anyway, I still really wanted a Stratocaster, and my wildest dreams were fulfilled when later that year, on my 8th birthday, I was given a little Torino red mini Strat, Squire mini Strat. That guitar has appeared in 2 videos, I think 2 or maybe more. At least 2, I know, videos that I have made. That guitar can be seen. I don't have it anymore because just a few months ago I gave it away. There was a lady at my apartment in Philadelphia who was there to collect furniture I was getting rid of, and her little son, her 8-year-old son, happened to mention that he was really interested in the guitar, and I was like, it's kind of sparked a thought in my mind, and I got out my little red mini Strat. I still had it, and I showed it to him, and his eyes lit up. He was like, that's so cool. And I was like, you know what? This is the right thing. I think this little boy should have my little red Strat. And so I gave it to him, and he was very, very happy, and I'm very pleased. Kind of paying it forward. So that's a really cool thing. In the meantime, this Strat here, this is a vintage modified Squire that I bought new in 2016. This is my first ever full-sized electric guitar that I bought, and it is currently my only electric guitar. And it's fantastic. It's a great guitar. So it's, everything with, the way it looks and how it plays plays great. It sounds great. So cool. Now, in the meantime, I fell in love with the electric guitar. It became an avid hobby of mine for a while, and I've gone through phases of time of not getting as much time to play guitar, and then, maybe getting back into it here and there. But as of recently, I have found myself really wanting to play acoustic guitar. I just love the sound of the acoustic guitar, love the music that you can play on it, and I've always found such a joy in being able to sit down and just quietly pluck away on an acoustic guitar. It's just a very fulfilling and relaxing thing to be able to do. And so I was able, I've been saving up a little bit of money, and I sort of justified a reason to buy a new acoustic guitar. And for years, of course I love the electric guitar, but I have had it in the back of my mind just because when I saw my aunt's Fender Concorde in the closet in 2007, I just thought, that is so cool. They put a Stratocaster headstock on an acoustic guitar. How cool is that? And so it had been sort of a wish list item of mine for a while. I really want to have one of those Fender acoustics. Now, meanwhile, I have to show you. I'm so sorry. I have so many things to show you that I'm too excited about. I have to show you this. This book is called 50 Years of Fender, Half a Century of the Greatest Electric Guitars by Tony Bacon. This book was given to me Christmas of 2007 by my grandparents, and it is one of the coolest books ever. So there are 2 pages per year. I hope you can see this. I don't have a monitor, unfortunately, but so 2 pages per year between the years 1950 and 2000, and there's a beautiful picture of an instrument. Each page there's one of the earliest Strats. This is 1954. A whole blurb about the birth of the Stratocaster and a beautiful picture of an old one here, and so there's just really cool little tidbit of story about what's happening with the Fender company during that particular year, and then a beautiful picture of a guitar. It's just so cool. It's one of the coolest books, and I love this book so much. And so, pertaining to the topic of today, here, 1963, is a picture of a Fender Palomino. This guitar here, this absolutely gorgeous acoustic guitar. I remember seeing this when I first got this book back in 2007, and I was like, it looks like my aunt's Fender Concorde, except the headstock is slightly different. I was like, that is so cool. And so I got to sort of start learning about the history of these Fender acoustics, and it's really cool. The story is so cool, and I find it particularly interesting to see the headstock shape, how it's very similar but got a slight modification with that rounded bottom edge to it. Also the Coronado, which is it's a thin line guitar. This is a 12-string version of the Coronado, but I don't know if you'll be able to see this at all, but there's a little advertisement here of some Coronados. There's a 6-string version, a bass version. There's another Fender acoustic there. And so these guitars, hopefully you can see that. So we've got the 6-string Coronado there, and it's got almost the same headstock shape, or it might be exactly the same as the acoustic shape found on the Palomino, and similar. It's super cool. I don't know why I geek out about this so much, but it's just, I love it. And so just a little bit of history about these Fender acoustics. There's a guy named Roger Rossmeisel who was hired by Leo Fender. He was a very well-respected luthier of the time, and Leo Fender hired him to design brand new acoustic guitars for Fender and oversee their production. And there were a few models that came out in the early 60s, and let me read you a little extract from this book here. So for the Fender acoustics, Rossmeisel gave the instruments the outward look of conventional flat tops, but for most of them he retained the heel-less bolt-on neck that had served Fender so well for its solid body electrics. The necks had an electric feel as opposed to the wider necks of most flat tops. Rossmeisel also began to fit many of the Fender acoustics with an aluminum support rod inside the body designed for maximum rigidity. A patent for this acoustic tension tube was granted in 1968, and Fenders with the tension tube feature visible through the guitar's sound hole are sometimes called broomstick models. How cool is that? And then the next paragraph, the first steel string acoustic models were the King, later renamed Kingman, and Concert, launched in 1964. There were also some steel string folk and nylon string classic models that had the conventional glued-on neck design. Later introductions to the flat top series included the Shenandoah and Villager 12 strings, as well as the Malibu, Newporter, Palomino, and Redondo models. So this particular Palomino pictured here was made around 1970. These guitars were introduced in the mid to late 1960s and were only in the catalog for a short time. They discontinued them in the early 70s, and come 2018, Fender reintroduced 3 of those old models from the 60s, the Malibu, the Newporter, and the Redondo. Those models were reissued in their California series. Now they have, they've gone back to a traditional construction with just a glued-in neck, no aluminum tension tube or anything. Back to normal, normal conventional acoustic guitar construction. But I was absolutely floored when I saw these new models in the catalog in 2018 because they were cheaper, they were more affordable in the Player series. And it was like, I think I might actually be able to afford one of those at some point. And so now, finally, 5.5 years later, I've been able to justify making a purchase of one of these gorgeous guitars, the Newporter Player series guitar. And so this is kind of the mid-sized model. The Malibu is more of a parlor sort of guitar. It's got a small body. It's got a shorter scale length. It's like 24.1, I think, is the scale. Then the Redondo is more of a dreadnought. It's not actually a dreadnought, but it's closer to that type of large body acoustic. And then the Newporter is like the mid-size. It's kind of like a grand auditorium or concert or that sort of idea. And it's super comfortable. It's just got a great shape. It feels really good to hold it. And the neck it does feel like a little bit thicker of a neck than my Strat. Just for comparison, the Strat is definitely thinner. But it's still a very comfortable neck. And what I love about this guitar is that it has a matte finish on the neck, which is very, very comfortable. It makes it not stick to your hand too much. It allows you good mobility, and you can kind of, you feel secure, but you don't feel like you get stuck. It's just a really nice feel. The frets are also fantastic, and I need to look up a couple more specs. Give me a second. Okay, we're back with the updated specs. So we've got sort of a sapele mahogany situation going on here with the back and the sides. We've got a spruce top, very typical top material. You can see the grain through the wood, through the finish. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. We have a NATO neck. I'm not familiar with that particular wood, but it's a nice, beautiful, rich, dark wood color. It's got a close grain. And then we have a walnut fingerboard, also a beautiful dark wood. It looks superb. It is gorgeous. And so I'm super, super stoked about this. Also, I've mentioned it too many times already in this video, but the headstock shape. To my eyes, this looks a little bit more like a Jazzmaster headstock shape. It's a little bit bigger, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but it's the vibe. It's the vibe of a Fender headstock, and it's just the coolest shape ever, and I love it so much. So yeah. Oh, and before I forget, we have Fishman Electronics, which I have not tried yet, but perhaps I will do that for the sake of this video. We have a little battery compartment here and the jack socket there. Built-in tuner. Everything looks very nice. The knobs feel good. Seems great to me. So yeah, good stuff going on there. So it's kind of, it's everything you could need in a mid-sized acoustic guitar, and it looks absolutely mint, just incredible. I love this finish too. There's a bunch of cool colors that it comes in. You've got natural, you've got sunburst, you've got candy apple red, you've got surf green, champagne, which is a cool kind of like light beige-ish color. You've got like ice blue, metallic, bunch of cool colors. I thought this one looked particularly beautiful. I love the kind of the dark sunburst. I can see the wood. I felt like it blended really well with this darker wood color for the neck. I just think it looks great. So I am absolutely stoked. So now is the part of the video where I should give you a little bit of a sound sample with my not so great playing, but just, to give you an idea of what this guitar sounds like and what it's capable of. I'll plug it in. It's not going to be an exhaustive demo, but I'll just play some chords, give you an idea of what it sounds like through the microphone acoustically, and also what it sounds like plugged in as well. Okay, and that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride and spending some time with me and listening to me ramble. But I'm so excited about this guitar, and I hope that you have enjoyed your stay here, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. And yeah, I think that's about it. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, you are more than welcome. Would love to have you. Appreciate it so much. This is not really my usual type of content here, so you know, take whatever you will from that. But I do musical stuff over here, just have a fun time. So yeah, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.